Revolutionary greetings, comrades. In the last video, we did discuss about the ZANU PF primary elections, and we said we need to monitor their primary elections so that we understand in terms of how they conduct their internal elections, which are called primary elections, what will be the turnout, because we said every member of ZANU PF is supposed to be casting their vote to select either their ward or council candidate who will represent their party in mid-year 2023 elections. We have this here, which we think it's important that we discuss. As I've said, that is the primary elections are today, the 25th of March 2023. They are polling station based, these primary elections. People, members of ZANU PF are expected to flock or to go to the polling stations and cast their votes. And we said, if there's a huge turnout in the internal elections, it means all those people that will participate in the ZANU PF primary elections will vote for ZANU PF in the 2023 elections. So it says here each candidate would have one agent inside the polling station. We've always spoken about the party polling agents in the general elections, that elections in Zimbabwe are not necessarily rigged at the polling station. And I know some comrades were arguing they are not necessarily rigged at the polling station, because if each candidate or political party in the harmonized elections have a polling agent inside, no one is going to rig, because the counting happens at the polling station. But if in a polling station opposition parties do not have their polling agents, anything can happen in those polling stations. So it's important to note. And in the ZANU PF primary elections, they are saying that each candidate will have one polling agent inside. One will then assume that the other will be outside if they need to relieve each other. And they say here campaign ends on Friday, the 24th of March. So the campaign ended yesterday. This is what we also normally do in the harmonized elections, that campaigning ends a day before the polling day. Of course, here they are saying every candidate to provide car with the driver, fuel provided. It's interesting. Polling starts at 7, ends at 4 p.m. And normally we start at 7 in the harmonized elections. We close again at 7 p.m. This one is important as well. Counting starts soon after. So once the polling station closes, counting starts in the ZANU PF primary elections. This is what normally happens in our harmonized elections, because as soon as voting ends, counting starts. Once counting is done in a polling station, votes are plugged outside the polling station. This is why you will see political parties during the harmonized elections in Zimbabwe. They will be circulating results of an election, because their polling agents will simply take a photo and transmit to their district offices, provincial or national command centers, to say in this particular polling station, these are the results, and then people will begin to do the calculations. Agents are allowed to take photos of results. That's the ZANU PF primary elections, which also happens in a harmonized elections, because if results are posted outside the polling station, anyone can take a photo of the results and circulate. Here it says candidates not allowed in counting. Candidate will have maximum 5 agents per polling station. Submit names to coordinator on Friday. That was yesterday, the 24th. Only 2 agents active per polling station. I think we've already discussed this. people vote cell by cell. You will know that ZANU PF organizes itself at cell level. When we're discussing about the distribution of freebies during the course of the year, is that if your name is not in the register of ZANU PF in a cell, it becomes difficult for such an individual to get anything. And if you are not attending party meetings, so they organize themselves at cell level. It says here, I skipped the other one, says here, no fitting of voters on election day, which we don't do. Other than that, we supply the polling agents with all the needs, with all their needs, be it food and so forth, but not voters. It says that therapy will arrest anyone who disrupts voting process. There's always a complaint about the conduct of the Zimbabwe Republic Police members in a harmonized election at a polling station. So it's important that we monitor how the ZRP conduct themselves in the ZANU PF primary elections, and we compare to their behavior or attitude when we are holding a harmonized elections. Then I skipped the other two, which is not really necessary. Then the other one says no candidate personal regalia on voting day, which is normal, which we do not wear party regalia on election day. Voters vote and leave immediately, which we also do in harmonized elections. Candidates to behave well or face disqualification. It also applies in the harmonized elections. No personal attacks of fellow contestants. I'm sure as you follow the campaigns in Zimbabwe, you will advise us if indeed this is observed, or do candidates of different political parties insult each other, or their personal attacks during the campaign, as we have already started the campaign for the mid-year elections. It says no political activity within 300 meters of polling station. There have been in the past accusations that some parties do campaign when people are queuing to cast their votes. So it's important that we monitor this in respect to the ZANU PF primary elections, and see if this is going to be observed when we hold our own elections, the harmonized elections, so to speak. Polling officers and agents count ballot papers before elections and assign each voter's details cancelled throughout using ruler and pen. Balance names voted with ballot papers used. You will know, which we have discussed, that when you enter the polling station that is in the harmonized elections, you produce your Zimbabwean ID or driver's license. I'm not very sure about passport, because I always produce my Zimbabwean ID whenever I vote. Then they check your name on the voter's roll, and they will mark that you have visited the polling station for the purposes of voting. Then here it says only presiding officers announce the results, but as you know, which we have discussed earlier, that results in a polling stations are posted outside for everyone to see, and the agents are allowed to take photos. Agents to be sober throughout elections process. No candidate to transport ballot papers and polling officers. We know that once voting is done in a polling station, results posted outside, then it is the duty of the police and ZEC to transport the ballot papers. Then it says candidates will be held accountable to the behavior of all their supporters. All candidates to sign affidavits declaring their full support for the winning candidates. This is an internal one, which is not applicable. Might be applicable because in a harmonized elections, we always have complaints of elections being rigged. We know that the main opposition party, it took them almost 3 years, or even now they do not recognize President Emmerson Mnangagwa as duly elected in 2018. So is this going to play itself out in the 2023 elections, where the winner of a presidential election will not be recognized as the winner? It's important that we discuss this as we build up to the harmonized election. And the last one says ZANU PF will not be involved in the voting process. They will only maintain law and order. As I've already asked earlier on to say, whenever we hold a general election or a harmonized election, what is the attitude of the Zimbabwe Republic Police? There have been complaints about their behavior, including that of the military. Please share your views. As I said, that these are ZANU PF primary elections. And they do not do like the opposition. In most cases, opposition political parties, they do primary elections, but it is done differently from how ZANU PF conducts primary elections. What opposition parties normally do is that their structures, not the membership, their structures in a constituency or in a ward are the ones that select or elect a candidate. So assuming if their structures, members of their structure, the youth wing, women's wing, the men wing, wards, maybe number to about 300 in a district, which is a constituency. Those are the people that will select the candidate for everyone. But for ZANU PF, every card-carrying member would participate in a constituency to select or elect a person that is going to represent their party. So that's the difference. And of course, other opposition parties who have not done congresses, they do not even hold primary elections. They only announce through a poster that so and so will be standing as their candidate. It's something that we'll discuss as we go to elections. But we thought it's important that we raise this question because, as I said, as I'm concluding now, that if there's a huge turnout vis-a-vis the registered voters in that particular constituency, they participate in the ZANU PF primary elections. Let's just assume in a particular constituency, more than 50%, or let me say more than 40% of registered voters do participate in the internal ZANU PF elections, which are called primary elections. It's an indication that ZANU PF is likely to win that ward or constituency in the mid-year elections, which we suspect to be held in July or August. Please share your views wherever you are. Please follow, subscribe to this YouTube channel, like this video, and circulate. Otherwise, Amandla, comrades.